Olympic medalist, European champion and World Cup star. That's just some of the titles we can call our Irish females these days. Over the coming weeks, we're going to shine a spotlight on the untold stories that took our country's elite to the very top of the world stage.
I'm Kayleigh Trapp and this is talkSPORT Ireland's MNAsplaining.
So, I'm here with Camogie's finest, Aisling Maher and Emma Byrne. How are you today, girls?
Good, yeah, great. Thanks for having us.
Far to travel?
No, didn't have far to go, only from Marino, so a quick spin over.
Yeah, and what about yourself, Emma?
Yeah, just Inchcore, so took the red line up.
Yeah, I'm outnumbered here. I'm feeling a bit intimidated by the Dublinese around me.
Yeah, be careful from the outset now.
Especially Monaghan. Like, you know, I don't even know if I've ever seen a hurl in a slitter, never mind played with one. So I'm a little bit intimidated, but I have nothing to worry about, I don't think, do I?
No.
We're going to start off with a little game that will lead us to my first question, if you don't mind, girls. So it's called This or That. And you can both give me your answers. It's like a quick fire, rapid round. So first, Barry's or Lions? Please tell me your tea drinkers first of all. Okay.
I'm going to go Barry's.
Oh, right. Ooh. They play for the same team and they're already arguing.
I need to tell a side story on this now because I was always Lions, right? And then my housemate Michelle Finn and I used to have arguments over this Barry's Lions, the whole thing. And one day we sat down and actually did 2 cups of tea beside each other. And she proved to me that Barry's tea has a more golden colour. And I was like, do you know what? I can admit when I'm wrong.
Okay.
And I switched to Barry's.
And even with the competitive nature of you still...
Even with the competitive nature, yeah. Because I used to always love the like pyramid-shaped tea bag in Lions. I was like, bigger surface area, surely the tea's better. This is a no-brainer. And she proved me wrong.
It's given Garen noon.
I gotta give her the win on that, yeah.
Have you ever tried Punjana though, lads?
Oh, yeah.
No,
I
it's
haven't.
it's good. I think you can only get it up north, but like when I'm up there, I get it by the bag. Like it's absolutely class.
It's a bit pricey down here now.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the
can you get
Dunn's
it here?
weekly shop. Yeah, you can get it in Dunn's, I think. My dad used to get it, but
that's what
yeah,
club
I'm
cards
a
are
bit of a
for.
tea addict now.
Yeah.
Minimum, I'd say about 4 cups a day.
Serious?
Yeah, honestly.
Coffee as well or just tea?
Oh, I don't know. I've only started drinking coffee like in the last few years. I don't know. I think it's a social thing. Like,
It's a
I don't know if I like
maturity
coffee.
thing
Do you know
as
what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing it to conform.
I just do it, yeah.
My friend, like, she's like, I am a coffee drinker now. I'm like, an iced frappuccino with a bit 3 shots of caramel doesn't count.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like, do you ever see that video of Jack Swift and he's like, Blanca Chocolate, Magnum? That's what I feel like when I'm ordering any type of syrup in my coffee.
Exactly. I'm always like, the baristas hate me. Okay, next one. Croker or Parnell Park?
Ooh, Parnell Park.
Yeah, I'd have to say Parnell.
What's the rationale? Why?
We never get into Croke Park.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, man, I know all about that too. Training in the rain or the blazing heat?
Heat,
Yeah,
definitely.
heat.
Really?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, touch is good enough for the rain.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're getting the nice heat at the minute, so long may it last, I suppose. Solo run or sideline cut?
Solo run. My sideline's a bit poor enough now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
But was that introduced, or has that always been the way with camogie? I was like, again, so I'm an absolute, like, having a clue. I watch camogie, but I don't really know it inside out. Sideline cut's always been involved, has it?
Yeah, they changed the rule a couple of years ago
Okay.
that now a sideline cut is worth 2 points if you put it over the bar from a sideline.
Oh.
Because the sideline cuts in camogie are poor enough. Like, there'd be
Okay.
not many sticking them over in camogie. So
Yeah.
trying to incentivise the skill to be a bit better.
Yeah.
But
So they changed the rules in
yeah.
some things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've mastered that one yet.
Oh, listen, practice makes perfect. Winning ugly or losing beautifully?
Oh, winning ugly.
Yeah, winning ugly
Yeah.
all day, yeah.
Go on, tell me a bit of beef on each other. What do you play dirty, girls?
I couldn't possibly say anything bad about Emma. Not
No,
when I still have to play
no,
with her for the
same,
rest of
yeah.
the year.
I played a bit of GA, and I remember my very first game I got yellow carded, and the ref came over to me. He's like, next time you're off, and I was like, I just don't know what I'm doing. And they were like, the girls were all like, Kayleigh, it's non-contact. And I was like, it's too soft, it's not for me. Or early morning gym or late night tactics session?
Oh, I'm not an early morning person now. Anybody, if I said early morning gym, people would be looking at me laughing now, like I'd be half asleep for most of my morning
Yeah.
sessions, so I'll have to go late night.
Yeah, for the
I dunno.
context of the show, it's 11 o'clock here today because She wouldn't come in before.
No, it was a push, Nate. Well, get here at 11.
What about yourself, Emma?
Yeah, I'd say the same.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And my last one, which leads me to my first question. Shorts or skorts? That's the one I was going for.
Definitely the shorts for me anyway.
Yeah, shorts for sure.
Can you tell us all about this situation that's going on at the minute? I suppose it's kind of here, there and everywhere. Where did it all begin? I suppose it might be something that's been brewing for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Like, for as long as I can remember, I feel like I've heard so many like girls complain about the skorts, and like you even see it around training. No one trains with a skort on.
Really?
Yeah, no one. Well, I don't know. You can
very,
think of anyone.
Very rarely. Every now and again, we might have someone like Ash O'Neill might rock up on the skort, and the joke is, did your mum not do your laundry this week?
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say,
it's
obviously everything's in the wash.
It's definitely never first choice.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just been brewing for a while, and I feel like it was kind of a perfect opportunity for us to actually act on taking a step towards that, wearing shorts. So,
and has it been acted on before? Has it ever been mentioned at things that it could be an option to not necessarily get rid of the skorts, but like I've seen what you both have said, that it's just a matter of choice, I'm assuming. Is this the first we're hearing about it now, or has it been something that's been brought up?
No, like Emma said, it's definitely been brewing under the surface for a number of years. Like going back a couple of decades, there would have been a lot of people that wouldn't have liked them, and I have had a couple of Instagram messages from people showing me pictures of their parents in like the 70s and 80s wearing shorts going out kind of in protest.
Stop.
Yeah, so it definitely is a thing that's been going on a while, and I guess maybe last year probably got brought to the fore a bit more at Congress. So Congress in March 2024, there was 2 motions. One was to replace the skort with shorts, and the second was to add the option of wearing shorts. And both motions were defeated in Congress, and I guess that would have kind of brought everything to a bit of a head at that point, because that vote happened where, you know, delegates are voting in Congress and players have no input and no say and aren't present, and we would have received the result, you know, later that day or the next day saying both motions have been defeated. And as a player, that's extremely frustrating because it's very clearly not representative of players' views on the ground. So that kind of kicked the whole thing off, and there was a bit of communication between the GPA, which is our Gaelic Players Association, and Camogie at the time to kind of say, well, look, can we work this out? Let's not let the whole thing be blown out of proportion. And we weren't that far off, you know, a number of protests within women's sport for player expenses the previous year. So it was like, well, let's try and do this amicably and work towards a solution, which players were receptive to at the time. There was no wearing shorts or kickback really at that stage, apart from some players vocalising their frustration with the situation. So I guess 12 months later then, probably 3 weeks ago at this stage, GPA released a report which kind of outlined the problems with the lack of choice and the frustration that players felt. Those stats that we've probably all seen since, which are 83% of players want choice and 70% find the skort uncomfortable. And Camogie's kind of response to that publicly at the time was, we're working on making a better skort.
Oh no.
We had joked about this a few weeks ago. Ash was at the AGM and she was like, just the skort issue came up, and I was like, what are they going to do? Make it more aerodynamic? Like, what's going to happen? And she was actually like, yeah, like apparently there's been like they're thinking about doing trials as they would with, you know, Nike athletes or, you know, those big brands who do deals with tennis players and stuff. So yeah it was kind of like really avoiding our, like, it was avoiding our
around
problems,
the issue,
like,
really. Yeah, it's like a bad relationship. Just let it go. Like not even let it go. Just let it be a choice.
Yeah.
And is this all down? Is the argument? The only argument I can see online, and I've done extensive research, is tradition. Like, I don't know what else is there really to it. Is it just the way it has been? Like, there's been so many changes across all sports in every way. We were talking about rules there a minute ago. All the time, I don't know why change is such a daunting thing. Am I right? Or what are the arguments there?
Yeah, like it's funny because the game has evolved so much. Like I think probably about 60 years ago, they were playing half the sides of the pitch. Like, it's such a simple change. Like, it's where we're changing from hurleys to hockey sticks, or like, you know, like, or even like I don't know if it was last year or the year before, there was the issue about girls wearing white shorts. So if your team was like a white team, then you would have to wear white. And obviously, us being girls, it's probably not the most reassuring if you have to wear white shorts. So there was a change for that, and so I just don't see why there can't be such a simple switch like that if they've already acted on something like that before.
I remember,
because it does make girls uncomfortable. Like, it doesn't matter if it's what colour it is. Like, it's the actual piece of clothing that we're not comfortable with, you know.
At the end of the day, when you're on a pitch, the last thing you want to be thinking about is pulling your skort down, or if something's uncomfortable or something's sliding like that. That shouldn't be on the forefront of your brain, but I'm assuming it is. I've never worn a skort in my life. I don't plan on it either, but I like the comfort level of it mustn't be great if you're not choosing to wear it at training, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure. Like they have changed the design of the skirt. Like I know I've gotten a few messages being like, I like my skirt. Like my skirt was fine. I'm like, yeah, you were playing about 20 years ago where it was just like a pinafore kind of skirt, and like there wasn't much restriction there. Like obviously it's the design itself has evolved, so now we're kind of wearing like bicycle shorts, like with the updated design. So it is very uncomfortable, and like that we're being photographed at games and we're almost like looking back being like, geez, I hope I didn't get a bad photo of myself, or you know, it's just crazy that you have to even think about that. Yeah.
But it is the way the world is now. Everything's televised, everything's documented, there's clips going around of every little thing, and it's just something you shouldn't have to worry about, to be honest. And as a spectator, as someone who doesn't know the ins and outs of it, like I've told you, I just find, we were talking about this before, Aisling, like I find it so bizarre that this is such a huge deal and that it can't just be an overnight decision. I understand everything has to go to higher boards, but the fact that you were saying there was no player representatives a year ago at it is crazy to me. But I'd like to think now with going forward there will be. Do you think there will? I suppose you're a member, you're the GPA, so
I don't know, to be honest. I
Really?
think that's a big step away yet. Like I think counties are probably slowly changing and evolving to allow their player voice to be carried through a little bit more to Congress, but there definitely isn't like a structured way of integrating that voice yet. I know like a lot of players have said to me, or a lot of people who maybe used to play have said to me, like, you know, how did that vote not go through last year? And I'm kind of saying to them, well, in your entire camogie playing career, how often did a delegate ask your opinion before they went and voted at Congress? And look, there could be 30-40 motions that go to Congress a year from the delegates. A lot of them are, not that they don't concern players, but they might be something as simple as like a technicality in a rule change or something like that. So we're not suggesting you need to ask every player their opinion on every single motion. Some of this stuff needs to just be made as a higher level decision regarding governance and so on. But for something that clearly impacts players and only players, such as playing uniform, they're the times when we do need to have, you know, the integration of the player voice in those decision making processes.
Oh, for sure. Like I can't get my head around it. I know I was listening to Anna Geary talking about it, and she said, I could be wrong, but over in the UK the hockey rule was similar and was changed. So that's probably a killer to know that I don't know how the ins and outs of how it was dealt with, but to know that they're nearly one step ahead over there and we just can't get on board with it is just crazy.
Yeah, so they do the choice thing really well. So they have individual choice for athlete on a team. The skorts and the shorts are designed to look the same, and honestly you wouldn't tell the difference when players are lining up.
Really?
But unfortunately it was something that kind of came to a head for them in a negative way as well. I know Tess Howard is one of the players over there who was really involved. She was on to me whenever our stuff had originally come out, kind of offering her support and her advice and her perspective on it, and she kind of said similarly, like it is just something that you have to keep pushing for and force a real change on it, unfortunately. But like, I mean, I've said to a couple of people the week we played against Kilkenny, where it kind of came
That's
to
where
a head
I was going to ask next.
that we wore shorts out. Not due to my lack of trust to the Kilkenny girls, I'll put on record. But we went out to warm up and I was like, are they in shorts?
We're on this together.
Like, we better be on the same page here. We said we'd do it together. And I was looking down the far side of them warming up on the pitch, and on the same pitch 30-40 yards away, I couldn't tell if they were in shorts or skorts. Now, obviously I didn't doubt them, trust, as we've said, but I guess the point is, if other players on the same pitch as you can't differentiate as to whether you're wearing shorts or skorts, then why does it make a difference to anyone other than the player wearing them?
That's actually such a good point that I never thought about as well. Like, it's probably, let's take away this whole phenomenon we have at the minute online and everything like that. If everyone was to go out wearing shorts, would people notice? Probably not, unless you make a big deal out of it. And then it's like a double-edged sword. You know, the power of social media at the minute is helping the case. In one way, it shouldn't come to that. But I know you've been very active on social media, Emma, talking about different things, making videos out of it, whatever else. Have you found that there's been a huge viral element to that and people have got on board and been positive?
Yeah, definitely. Like there is people who aren't even aware of the sport that are like catching on to this and probably don't follow GA. So yeah, there has been a big surge of attention on the issue, which is actually, I know people were very critical of us when we had to change back into the skorts when we played our match against Kilkenny
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. But what that has created is a big like media attention around the issue,
Absolutely.
and you know, we're getting our message out there, and it's kind of forcing the Camogie to almost make a decision. Like I know they're holding a special meeting next week on the 22nd, so there's absolutely no certainty that it will go through, but
Yeah.
I think the whole attention around the issue has really helped just share a voice and bring a big attention to it.
Absolutely, and fair play to you for that, because it shouldn't take the internet to blow up to have this opportunity. But if you've helped in making it that way, then backing somebody into a corner is sometimes the only way to get your answer. Really, take me back to the game against Kilkenny, and what was like. How did you come to the decision that we're wearing the shorts and that's it? I know it changed, but like, what was it that kind of made you go, today's the day?
Yeah, well, I suppose we mentioned earlier the GPA's report on kind of highlighting the player welfare impact of not having choice. And I guess for us, that sparked conversation. Like for me personally, my preference is definitely shorts, has always been shorts. I find the skorts uncomfortable and I don't like wearing them. But I would say that a lot of the like readjusting and pulling them down that I do when I play is probably subconscious to me. But like having conversations with other players, like Em and I actually discussed it, and you were saying like you reckon 20-30% of the time during the game you're thinking about like where is that and pulling it down. And I think that hammered home for me of Jesus, like there's girls here who are day in day out making all of their decisions around being the best athlete they can be, and then there's something as simple as their uniform that's given them, you know, a 20% decrease in the concentration that they're affording to their performance in their game. Like it's just insane. So I think there was probably a lot of conversations like that amongst all teams, not just ourselves, off the back of that report. And then, as we said, Camogie's response just felt so out of touch with what players actually wanted. And I know that like we were having those conversations, Kilkenny obviously were as well, and they reached out to us actually and said, how do you feel about wearing shorts the weekend? And I think we probably had at a larger level as Camogie players talked about doing it for the All-Ireland, which starts in a week's time at this stage, just over. And then I think we felt, look, this report's come out, it's clearly had a powerful impact, it's made people feel strongly about this. Are we really going to go back into skorts for provincial championship?
Thanks,
and then
strike while iron's
you know
hot,
exactly, yeah, risk it maybe not being in the public eye as much at that stage. So the suggestion came from Kilkenny, and we discussed it as a team and unanimously felt, you know, even the girls who like wearing the skort or want to continue wearing the skort are getting frustrated at the fact that their teammates don't have choice at this stage. So
of course. And you went out in the pitch that day, and then you did change back into the shorts. How did that come about? Or were you just like, okay, we're going to have to save this for another day because it's just not going to get any answers today?
Yeah, so we went out and went to warm up and like got through the whole warm up probably 20-25 minutes in and no issues with anything. And then myself and the Kilkenny captain went in for the toss with the referee, who just kind of immediately said, look, I'm seeing far too many pairs of shorts and the game won't go ahead until everybody's wearing skorts. So to be honest, we had briefly discussed it insofar as like I think the Friday before the game the Kilkenny girls had messaged and said, look, worst comes to worst, we're going to throw skorts in the bag if you want to do the same. And I nearly didn't, even because I was like, we're hardly going to be sent back into the dressing room. I kind of thought they'd look after it at an administrative level, find the counties involved, something like that. But we had, well, most of us had, there was a couple of any spare skorts going in the dressing room.
I love that. They were like, we're going nowhere. And they're like, uh-oh.
I won't name and shame the players involved who were not adequately prepared. But
I'm one of those anyway. That would be
me. Yeah, so look, we had kind of said, I guess, prior to the game, if it came to abandoning it, we didn't want to go that far as a first point of protest. So we went back in and changed at that stage.
And with the media attention, the fallout of that game, were people like, okay, girls, we're going to have your back for the future? Or was anyone like, oh, you should have followed through with it? Or was it generally positive?
Yeah, there has been a mix. Like, it's funny because like you're almost wondering, are these people actually following the game, or are they just jumping on this to kind of give
Bandwagon.
out? Yeah, but there has been definitely more mixed than I thought. Like I would assume that people would be in support of us, and you know, people who are playing the game. But I think there was a lot of criticism after that point that we did change into it. But then we almost kind of trusted that maybe whoever's playing after us, maybe they might take it a step further. Like I know Cork and Waterford,
I was gonna ask
prepared.
about,
They were
yeah.
prepared to wear shorts, and obviously we know what happened then. The game had been cancelled, so
Yeah,
it's really disappointing. But we almost had that trust in Cork and Tip that they would put the foot down and take it to a next level almost.
I was going to say, like, you made the first initial steps and then they followed on through that, and it's kind of, it's what needs to happen. But how did that come about as well last weekend? I remember hearing so I was at the game on Sunday, and like I was looking forward to watching the games on Saturday, and it didn't happen. Like, any ideas how that came about, or was it just, did they know that it obviously didn't show up or anything like that? It was just like, no, this isn't happening. And I think as well, for an amateur sport, it's a waste of people's time. I that's what I'm thinking of. Everyone has other plans, everyone has things going on, work and whatever else, and to just cancel a game like that, it's hard. I don't know if you've been talking to any of the girls.
Yeah, it's more than a waste of people's time. It's
Yeah.
like so disrespectful,
Of course.
especially the way in which it was done. I spoke to a number of the Waterford and the Cork girls in the run up to it. Obviously, like an extremely difficult week for them because they're preparing for a provincial final, their second ever provincial final in Waterford. They've only ever been in one provincial final previously, and you know, they're spending the whole week being torn between wanting to support us and the protest that we'd initiated and wanting to drive that on a step further, especially with, I suppose, the kind of support we had got from the public and the backing of, well, if we're going to make a change, it probably has to happen now because now is when the momentum is there. And then also trying to prep as well as you possibly can for a game, which would normally involve, you know, doing no media and not being looking at that sort of stuff. Never mind the fact that none of it's even about the match. It's actually just about your uniform.
It's crazy.
So really a really frustrating week for them, and I think they did the right thing in that they very quickly made a unanimous decision. So, you know, as early as the Monday, we had word coming from both camps that they wanted to wear shorts and that was the end of it. And very publicly, very clearly stated on Wednesday, we're wearing shorts, we're prepared to play the game, we'll be there, we'll be talked out, we can't wait to get stuck into it, but we're wearing shorts, end of. And Camogie still waited until 8:30 on Friday night.
8:30 on Friday?
8:30 on Friday night with a 1 p.m. throw in on Saturday to inform players that they're calling it postponing the game. But like, to be honest, that infuriates me because, like, when are you postponing to? Like, you know, once we start, you don't get a second. And the only time that there'll be a break is maybe between like a quarter final and a semi and an All Ireland. And you don't need to be playing the provincial final on your week off between a quarter and a semi.
No.
You know, other things to be focused on. And if it was even to be played after the All Ireland, at the very least, you know, what meaning does the game have there?
It's lost its kind of whole
100%.
appeal. Yeah.
Players are going back to clubs, players will have holidays booked, you know, you'd be trying to get time off, catch up on work stuff that's been put off. It's just not possible to postpone a provincial final and expect it to hold the same weight if it gets played at all. So a complete disregard, complete lack of respect for the players, the preparation they'd put in, the work they'd done, not only over the, you know, previous number of years, but like, you're playing a big game like that, you're 10 days before every single thing you do rotates around optimal performance for that game. So all the structure of their training, their load management, what they're eating, sleeping, work they're doing, you know, you'd be organising your work projects to make sure you've an easy enough week the week up to a game to try and keep your stress levels low. That would have just had a huge repercussion for all of them on their like mental, emotional, physical well-being thereafter. So like the height of disrespect, to be honest,
completely.
and in some ways, like, I was in Croke Park, as I think we all were on Sunday for the Leinster Provincial Championships with the LGFA and the men's football, and they were unbelievable. Like, what a spectacle! 2 unbelievable games. Brilliant to see, and like, you see what it means to players, and in some ways it really highlighted what Munster were not allowed to have the day before, right?
Absolutely.
So that's the same game that's been taken away from those players at 16, 17 hours notice.
Like, I was watching the ladies' game on the Sunday, and it was a great game, and they were obviously all wearing shorts. There's no skorts in that, but I was just like, again, it just highlighted how it's nearly making a mountain out of a molehill, but not in a way that it shouldn't be. It's just I've mentioned it a few times already. I just can't get my head around how when I'm watching that game on Sunday and they're all playing freely and they're all comfortable in what they're wearing, I'm like, why is this not across the board? I just don't understand. And my gut tells me it is going to hopefully change, but it's just like the amount of work that's had to go into this for such a small thing in my eyes is just crazy. One thing I noticed on social media, and it kind of was really lovely to see, is a lot of parents were making videos. I know Voodoo's Denise had her daughter on, and basically obviously the children are so innocent. It was just like, what would you rather wear? And they were just so innocently saying, generally the shorts. And I was like, as a power to use that those girls are hopefully going to grow up and not have the same experience as yous. How do you feel about, I suppose, I hate the word inspiring, but inspiring the younger age and knowing that you're putting in the groundwork now to give them an easier time when they're growing up?
Yeah, like I think that's the most important thing, is that we're kind of leaving that behind for the girls who are growing up playing camogie. Like I know I've seen a lot of parents say like, oh, my daughter has given up, and it's such a transitional age, like between, I know they're allowed to wear shorts till they're under 14, I think, but it's such a transitional age that you almost have like your body image issues, and like social media is as prominent as ever. So I feel like everything combined together, it just shouldn't be that stressful. And you want to keep girls in the sport, like you want to not have any distractions for them when they're playing. But it's great that I saw that video myself, and it was just so simple. Like they obviously aren't thinking of everything else, but they're just, it should just be a choice. Like they shouldn't have to think about like, oh well, I don't want to play camogie because I hate the sport, or worry about stuff like that. So yeah, I suppose that's why this is so important, that we get it right and that the vote does go through, so that the younger girls who are playing in the future don't have to worry about that.
It's nearly as if the people who are pulling the strings and making the decisions don't understand what it's like to grow up now. It's a different way. It's a different world growing up. Like you mentioned, their body image, everything like that, confidence levels. They aren't taking that into account, and they're just thinking too much about the tradition. I was laughing. I was driving home I was in the Castleknock area the other day, and there were like 5 kids out with protesting signs and 2 mums, and I was like, oh, I wonder what that is. And I saw short written on one of them, and I was driving, I was in traffic, I was like, I'm gonna pull in. So I pulled in about 100 meters down the road, went back up, fully expecting, I was like, I'm going to go into Ashling and Emma now and tell them about this protest in Castleknock. And I went over and I was like, what are you protesting? They were like, shortcuts on the roads. People are making shortcuts. And I was like, damn it. And then I was like, and to be fair, it was a great cause and I was all for it, but I was stuck talking to her about 5 minutes about the shortcuts around Castleknock. Anyway, we'll park that for now, but hopefully, look, going forward, I can see a change. And just, I know it's a bit maybe weird to say, but congratulations for being the ones to put that in place and being the ones to start it all off. What are the futures for you girls now in the camogie realm? Like, what's next?
Yeah, well, I think I've said on record a few times I'm never wearing a skirt again. So me playing at the moment depends on this vote going through next week.
Serious? You're like, no, that's it. You're in full on protest mode.
You know what? I've said before as well, like, I think if a year ago when that whole issue had come up in Congress, or even this year when GPA issued their report, if camogie had come back at that stage and been like, do you know what, lads, you're right, we got this wrong, clearly that vote wasn't representative, next year in Congress we'll move it forward as a special motion, because it's not due till 2027. So next year we'll move it forward, we'll address it then, we'll have a big campaign to get it through, and it'll be changed for next year. I think I would have said, brilliant, great, thanks, shake your hand and move on, there's enough issues in the world, let's not make this another one.
That's another thing,
but the way that it's been reacted to since, and the way that camogie have dealt with it since, and the kind of insistence that this isn't a problem and shouldn't be a problem, and the disregard for players and how they feel, that I've felt since, has kind of nearly made it a bigger issue, right? So I think at this stage, I don't know, I'll be ringing the Dublin football manager or something if it doesn't go through. See, does he want a camogie player?
You hear that? You're getting a call. I was seeing online there that you're an ambassador for the May 50k challenge. I kind of wanted to give you a wee call out or shout out for that. So can you tell us what's involved in that? Because it's happening at the minute.
Yeah, so the May 50k is basically just raising funds for MS Ireland. So yeah, it's basically you can walk, run, whatever you want. Just log in your 50k, and you can donate anything to the may50k.ie. So yeah, it's a really great cause, and yeah, it's really good to see people out and about. I know I've had a few texts of people showing me that they logged in their distance and stuff. So yeah, and we have the weather for it as well. So that's ideal.
Do you know what? When I was looking at that online and I was, reading into everything, I was like, those are the most important things. Those are the issues that we should be really tackling, and little small like things that can be easily mended, like this shorts and skorts. It puts everything into perspective when you think of challenges and causes that are important like that. So absolutely fair play to you, Emma. Girls, thank you so much for coming on today to talk about everything, and hopefully now in a couple of weeks' time we won't be talking about this anymore.
Do the word again.
No, oh my goodness, we'll be put to bed. So girls, Gurmila Maya, all right.
Oh my God.